Alright, you guys, welcome back to another deck list. Today we're going to be talking about Banette EVs. Now before going any further, if you haven't seen already, I did start a Facebook page for these videos and whatnot. All of the lists excuse me, are posted on that page. So if you don't really care about care about my voice, I guess the way it is to use it, you can just go ahead and look at the lists on the Facebook, drop a like, drop a comment, whatever you need to do. You can also ask me questions on there if you need a little bit more of an explanation. If you didn't watch, or if you watched the video and you're like, hey, I have some more questions about this list, you can either comment on this video or just like ask me a question on the page, and I'll be happy to explain. But anyways, onto the deck list. We're talking about Banette EVs. Now this deck is very, in theory it sounds good, but it's like not. Main reason is because this Banette is like good to a certain extent. It's good against people who don't build their decks correctly, or new players, or players who are bad. It's good against a lot of those. It pub stomps them. But any person that like knows how to build a deck, or is somewhat of a competent player, can get around Banette fairly easily. Most decks do rely, in the U150 format, do rely on evolutions. So the evolution jammer that stops them from evolving Pokemon is going to hurt them. However, we have stuff like Evo Soda and Wally that gets around evolution jammer. That can be a big issue, since your entire early game strategy is dependent on this evolution jammer. Now, like I said, it does 20, stops them from evolving Pokemon. It reads that your opponent can't play any Pokemon from his or her hand to evolve his or her Pokemon during his or her next turn. So you can use this on the first turn of the game because it has Alpha Evolution. So if you have a Shuppet and this Banette and an energy in your hand, you can evolution jammer right away and kind of shut them down. Hopefully, at least. Spiritomb is also in format, and Spiritomb does get around this as well, so it's another reason that this card might not be as good as one would think. But if your opponent's not playing Spiritomb, or they don't start Spiritomb, or they don't get Spiritomb, whatever there, if they don't play Wall, if they don't play Evo Soda, this is going to shut down a lot of decks. Go ahead and go over the other Banettes real quick before I talk about the other stuff in the deck. You have Banette EX. This is going to be your big bopper late game. It does 30 plus 10 for each supporter in your discard pile. Granted, it's for 2 energies, and that's kind of not very great, but it does take a lot of cheap one-shots late game with Dimension Valley in play. 90 HP EX means it's not fantastic, but if you're trading EX for EX, and you can stream this late game, you know, you can take cheap knockouts here and then just trade with this one, you're going to be alright. And then you have this Banette too. It does Darkness Switch, Loneliness. It does either 60, 80, depends on what you discard. These two work really well in tandem together because you can Temper Tantrum away supporter energies to put damage on it, which helps Banette EX's damage. So they kind of work in tandem with each other. Good little attack there. I don't think this Banette's very good. It doesn't get the benefit of the EVs that the other one does, but hey, we're playing the Banette line, and this is probably the only other good Banette out there. 3 Shuppets here, just a standard 3/3 line. Nothing too crazy or fancy there. I think that's going to be your consistency. You could technically bump it to 4 Shuppets if you're trying to get this combo turn 1, but I don't think the way that this deck is built is designed for the turn 1. I think the way that I built it is just designed as a staple standard deck with Banette options. So the other half of Banette, it's actually technically called Banette EVs because you do play an evolution line in here. You play a 3/6 line, so you're playing 3 EVs, all with 2 with the energy evolution, and then the promo one, which is the best one in there, or best EV option out there, and then 1 of each of the ability changing ones. Hopefully you're playing against something that's weak to lightning, water, or fire, so you can deal that double damage. And then the other EVs, you're going to play the 2 best EVs that you can splash in. Like I said with this Banette here, the Temper Tantrum, you could discard Pokemon you don't need, like the evolution ones. If you're not playing against something that's evolution weak, you can discard those with Temper Tantrum to fuel Flareon's attack. And then we're also going to be playing Leafeon, because Leafeon is super good in this format. And then we're also playing an Espeon here. That's so that if you're going first, you can chain reactions. Some of it you can Spiritomb it out. You're playing Psychic Energies anyways, and Espeon is actually a very good attacker, so you might as well play it since you are playing Psychic Energies. Makes sense there. You're trying to hit double damage. You're trying to one-shot. It's kind of like a toolboxy deck that has this energy, or the evolution jammer in it. That's just kind of how the deck operates. You are a toolbox with a little bit of a focus on that Banette. Support Pokemon, you're going to be seeing the standard 10 support Pokemon that are in all of my decks here. You're going to be playing the 2-2 Porygon, the 1-1 Claydol, and actually, where's the Spiritomb at? Uh-oh. There should be a Spiritomb in this list. If there's not, then either I'm doing something wrong, or the list I have here is wrong. There is no Spiritomb in this list, apparently. I'll double check the actual list. I built these decks quite a while back, so I hadn't been able to double check them yet. But there is a card coming up here that I will show you that you could cut for the Spiritomb if you wanted it. But like I said, it is a little bit more focused on trying to hit this turn 1 Banette, so if you can, you should hit it, I guess. Like, that's what you should try for. But there should be a Spiritomb in here to help you get that Espeon GX out too. So, standard 10 with hopefully that Spiritomb in there. I'll take a look at the list, and hopefully the one I post on Facebook will be either different or what have you. Moving on to supporters, you're going to see a lot of standard supporters here. There's a couple oddities, not too many. Bad glare today, how about that? You're going to be seeing an AZ, moving this aside, AZ, Bebe Search for Search, Colress for Draw, Copycat, Guzma, Hex Maniac. That's going to be a Hex Maniac for those glare people. You're also going to see Iris helps with damage. This deck does lack in early game damage because of the jammer. So Iris is for that like late game jammer if you get into a situation where they need to evolve. Karina, staple on every deck. Looker's Investigation for extra draw power. You're going to have Lysander as well, Lysander's trump card, and Marley's Request. We're going to be looking at an N, a Mallow, you want Mallow or Oracle, or both if you're that kind of person. Collector, very staple cards here. Juniper, Oak, and Sycamore. You're going to be playing one Psychic's Third Eye. That's to help you discard Pokemon. Oopsies. Help you discard Pokemon and discard supporters to fuel your attacks. Rocket's Admin, great draw power there. Rosies, you're also playing Sages. You play Sages and Lookers. If you if you've heard me before, you play one or the other. This one you can afford to play more supporters because of Banette's the Revenge Banette's attack. Teammates, Skyleth, and then one Wally as well. It's a little bit heavy on the supporter side, where we're looking at 25 supporters. So a little bit more than normal. You could bump up to 26 if you really want that damage output from Banette, but that Banette's also an EX, so it's not something you should necessarily focus on, but something that you can focus on, if that makes sense. Let's see, moving on to items. You're going to see a lot more staple stuff here. We're going to play an Acrobike because you don't mind discarding stuff. Battle Compressor because you kind of want to discard stuff with it, with the Banette and the Flareon on the deck. This deck could use more Pokemon, by the way. Flareon's not a focus, but you could play more. You're only playing 3, 6, 15 plus the 9. So you are playing right around the 24, which is about the average amount. But if you really want to focus on that Flareon or focus on other things, you could play a little bit more Pokemon. You could drop energies for it. We are running a high count of energies to ensure that turn 1 Banette, if that's what you're going for. But you could drop an energy or two for an extra Pokemon. Probably you're looking at like Unknown and Unknown AOR and Unknown R, just for that extra draw power and the discarding to fuel Flareon. Just a side note. Bill, Computer Search Erica for more extra draw. Like I said, trying to hit that turn 1 Evolution Jammer. Escape Rope, Evo Soda, and Laser for damage output. It's going to be an Escape Rope and a Laser. Next video I do tonight, I'll make sure there's no glare. But Escape Rope, Evo Soda there. Imposter X Invention, Item Finder, and Junk Arm, staple stuff. Level Ball. Lieutenant Surge's Treaty, this is the card that you could easily cut for the Spiritomb. It's not a very good card and gets randomly thrown into lists. I think in a deck like this that's a little bit slower and that you're not going to take prizes as quickly, it's useful there. But it could be cut for the Spiritomb if / you should want the Spiritomb. Luxury Ball, Misty's Wrath, and Pal Pad rounding out that row there. Pokemon Communication for some search. Stretcher for the recovery. We're looking at some Oak, Scoop Up, Secret Mission for extra draw power and discarding the unwanted supporters and maybe Pokemon. Super Rod, Switch, and Soup Teleporter. And then rounding out here, you got Ultra Ball versus Secret Warp Point and Windstorm. So you can kind of tell this deck does kind of revolve around getting stuff into your discard pile and one-shotting, but it also has that toolboxy effect of making sure that they don't evolve. I said it before, this deck is kind of toolboxy, where you can take one-shots, you can kind of disrupt them a little bit. It's kind of a higher skill cap in that regard, but at the same time, the deck does lack damage output, just kind of all around. Your two stadiums going to be the obvious stadiums here. You're going to be looking at Broken Time Space and Dimension Valley. Broken Time Space isn't anything that requires evolution. You don't need it with the Evolution Jammer, because the Evolution Jammer does have that alpha growth ability, so you can get it right away. And then Dimension Valley, because you're playing psychic Pokemon. Makes sense there. Items, you can say Muscle Band and Floatstone, the two staple item cards. You don't really need much more. You could play an EXP share if you're worried about your Banette EX's damage or attack costs. You could play an EXP share. That'd be the one I would suggest. Maybe even a Choice Band for damage output, but I think you're fine with these two. You are going to play the Elite Four plus a Dowsing Machine. Just kind of makes sense. There. Sweet. Moving on. Turn your phone off. Special energies. You're going to see Mystery Energy and Double Colorless Energy. Yeah, makes sense. DCE for Flareon and Espeon can actually benefit from this, and Mystery Energy because your Banette actually have a little bit of a retreat cost. And then Psychic Energy is going to be looking at 3, 6, 9, 12. It is a bit high, but like I said, it's try to, if you're going for that like turn, what was I trying to say? To get to that turn 1 Evolution Jammer. So if you're not looking to do the turn 1 Evolution Jammer, if you're not trying to focus on that, you could cut like 3 of these, I would say, for like maybe 3 Pokemon of some sort. The 2, maybe like the 4th Shuppet, 4th Banette, not 4th Banette, 4th Shuppet, 4th Eevee, or like Unknowns, or Spiritomb, for instance. Like you could cut 3 of these and be fine with 9, but 12 is to try to kind of guarantee that turn 1, if that makes sense. So yeah, that does it for Banette Eevees. Like I said, it's kind of a weird deck. I don't know if it's necessarily that great of a deck, but it is something to go out there and try. If you have any questions, please let me know. Check out that Facebook page if you haven't already. If not, have a good one.